Okay, so this video is going to be for, let's see, let me pull this up. Monday the 7th, which is the white day, and Tuesday the 8th, which is a red day. So if you're absent on either one of those 2 days, that's what this video is for. Make sure you read for about 25-ish minutes today in your own book. That'd be awesome. But then I kind of just wanted to go through what we've done so far in reading and writing, the sense of informational pieces, and just that how to present information and looking at those. So in your notebook on page 26, I know you don't have yours, and that's okay. You can just watch my screen. But on page 26, we have different central ideas listed out. So we have those on here. Underneath that central idea, we also have SCIF, because that's what we've been talking about for information pieces, the sense of like where things are coming from, the central idea, format, and features. We also have notes on page 27 about author's purpose. Then outside of that, we talked about the different writing structures. So for information, so we have sequencing, and underneath there we have, underneath that mentor text, we have our notes. We also have compare contrast. Again, underneath there we also have notes as well. And then we have our description, and then notes is under there. And the last one that you guys did with the our cause and effect, problem solution, and again we have that underneath. So all of these were different ways to write those informational texts. But instead of using the different text structures and like talking through those specific things, we're also going to give you some examples of just different ways to see informational text. Okay. And so what we're going to do with that, I'm going to show you, and actually I already have mine in this, so I'm going to go ahead and go to my notebook in here. You will eventually put these in your notebook as well. But here is an example. I'm just going to show you this one first. Sorry. All right, so this right here, this is a infographic. So this is just a different way to present informational text, not necessarily just writing it into different paragraphs and into an actual article, but you can do it as an infographic. So and you're looking at this, it's kind of neat just to kind of look at it too and how it's organized in the sense of having the different spaces here to put those different information in. Using the nonfiction signposts, we talked about numbers and stats. So having those numbers really big and the statistics there is really helpful as well. Something else I also like that they do with this particular thing is they have those different pictures or illustrations that help us to visualize what's going on. The really cool thing here too is that it's talking about the most common National Football League injuries. And so it goes from the head, brain, all the way down to the foot. So talking about the ankle and the foot injuries. And throughout the midsection is talking about the different things that also happen to NFL players. This one specifically I like. So right here they're talking about the backbone or the spine injuries. And then they have their fact that they have with it goes alongside, like looking like the spinal cord, which is kind of neat for them to include that. So again, that's just a different way to present nonfiction or informational text. Having all of those text features is really helpful, and how it's just like presented in that way. There's still a lot of information on here, but it's not necessarily written in just all word format. So it's just another way you could do it. Okay. Another way that is also an infographic is this right here. So this is the hidden meanings and symbolism of 50 iconic brand logos. So I'm going to zoom into some of these. It's kind of neat to kind of see what they end up doing with this. And if you didn't know some of this stuff, it's kind of neat too. So Amazon, it says the arrow links A to Z because Amazon has everything from A to Z, which is kind of neat. I mean, that's kind of a fun little fact. Here we have Baskin Robbins. Include the number 31. The number 31 stands for our belief that our guests should have the opportunity to explore a fun new ice cream flavor every day of the month. So again, that 31 is really important because here's 31 here. I'll just A to Z, A to Z, A to Z. The next one is FedEx. FedEx. So there's an arrow between the E and the X. Symbolizing speed. So again, you see that arrow in between there. Kind of a neat little thing there. I like the zoo one here as well. The zoo one, it says, the Bronx Zoo, the negative space between the giraffe's legs creates New York City's iconic skyline. And I like, this was really neat when I did this in class because I'm like, oh, that is so true. Like you can see the, oh, you can't see that one. Sorry. Wrong one. There it is. So we have the New York City skyline. So it's just kind of neat that it's in there. It's kind of fun. All right, so I'm going to underline that. Underline this. Let's see. Another one is this one right here, Toyota. According to Toyota, the 3 overlapping ellipses symbolize the unification of the hearts of our customers and the heart of Toyota products. Another fun fact is that all the letters of Toyota are within the logo. So you can see that up here. So right here it has the T, and you have the O, Y, O, T, A. So it's kind of fun that it says that. Okay. Another one, Beats, says the B is actually headphones and the red circle is ahead. So that's just kind of an interesting thing to think about because that's why. So every single one of these, they do it for a reason. And so taking and looking at that is kind of neat. Another one that's kind of fun is this Domino's one. The 3 dots represent the 3 original Domino's locations. Initially, the plan was to add a dot for every new location. This didn't pan out because the franchise expanded far beyond the owner's expectations. So true. There's a lot more Domino's than just the 3. Apple designer Rob Janoff spent time drawing apples for inspiration. He took a bite out of an apple as an experiment, then realized that bite sounds just like the computer term bite. So it's just kind of funny. Little smiley face there. It just makes me laugh. So that's another reason for that there. Another one that stood out to a lot of kids today was this one about Tostitos. Each lowercase t is a person holding a chip, and the dot of the I is their bowl of salsa. So you can see that right here. You have your 2 people with chips. That's your bowl of salsa. So you come together and you eat Tostitos together. Another one the kids really liked today was this one, Hershey's Kisses. There's a sideways silhouette of a Hershey's Kiss between the K and the I. So again, like if you turn this sideways, it's right here. You turn this right here. Like this right here is a kiss. That's actually what that looks like. So I don't know. That's kind of fun. I'll circle that one. Let's see. Adidas. This is an interesting one. The iconic 3-stripe design was first used on footwear in 1949. And then in 1997, the stripes were slanted to form a mountain representing the obstacles and challenges people need to overcome. So again, Adidas, that's really important because it's a sports brand, and so they're going to use those in order to overcome the challenges that they have. So obstacles and challenges. I don't know. So there's a lot of different ones on here, but again, this is just a different way to push out information in the sense of it's an infographic. It's not necessarily going to be written in a paragraph type form, but these are different ones and just talking about why they did those. Okay. All right. Another way that we can look at information being presented is this right here. So we can do a question and answer format. So a lot of information can be written this way. You could have a question. So such as which whale is called sea canary. And so you could actually read the answer to that. It's a beluga whale. But then again, they give you information about that. And then they ask us another question. Why does the beluga snap its jaws together? So again, then it answers that question. Then you can do another question. So question and answer is really a different way that you could also look at. I'm going to do this. Q&A is another way that you can have that information being pushed out. So here's your question, here's your answer. Here's your question, here's your answer. Here's your question, here's your answer. Okay? So that's just another way to push that information out. I'm not necessarily going to read on that one right now. I am going to look at this one, though, because a lot of the kids like this one today. Why is snot green? That's actually from this book. So again, this is another question and answer. Here's the question. Why is snot green? Basically because it's the result of a fight between nasty bugs and body cells that makes green colored goo. So that's your answer. But then again, instead of just having that be the answer, there were still some other questions that we had with it. So again, it gets into more question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. So again, that's just a different way that you could go in and have information, have an informational text like that. Okay? It's a different way to organize it. All right. Another one that I'm actually going to show you is this is a fun little book that I'm going to show you. I'm going to read some to you. And this will be on the back. So the book that I have is called Two Truths and a Lie. Kind of a fun little spin on things, but I'm going to give you the introduction so you can kind of see what's happening with this. And then I'm going to read to you some, and then you can figure out which one you think is the lie. Okay? So it says, you should know something right up front. This book is sneaky. Everybody knows the way books normally work. If you pick up a work of fiction, you know that most of what you will read in between those covers is made up. It's a delicious creation straight from the imagination of the author. If you pick up a nonfiction book, then you can count on the contents being true and factual, but this book is not all fiction nor all nonfiction. Instead, it's a bit of both. See, sneaky. All around us, everywhere in the world, there are lies. But there are truths, too. And sorting out one from the other is really important and seriously an interesting part of life. So here's how the book works. Each section is broken down into chapters, and each chapter consists of 3 stories. If you read the book's title, I bet you know where we're going with this. In every single chapter, there are 2 of the stories are 100% cross your heart and hope to die truths, and 1 of the stories is complete fabrication, a lie. But which is which? That's where you come in. Even the lies might have kernels of buried truth, and some of the truths are so unbelievable they will scramble your brain. Your mission is to separate the 2. So pull up a chair and settle in for a rocking good read. Just remember, don't take these stories as face value. Read them, talk them over with your friends, do your own research, dig around online safely, of course. And when it comes to information and life, really, asking good questions is kind of a superpower. And the answers are out there, we promise. They're just waiting for you to find them. All right. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to read 3 different things to you. And then 1 of them is a lie. 2 of them are the truth. And you're just going to try to figure out which one is which. And then at the end, I'll let you know which one was the lie. Okay? All right. So we're going to do this one. It's chapter 5. It's about medium animals. So I'm just going to read this to you. And then I just want you to think about it. And then I want you to think which one is the lie. All right. So the first answer choice would be A, invasion of the tree octopods. Okay, quick. Name 3 facts about the octopus. 8 legs, powerful beak, lives in the ocean. All true of your average octopus. But what happens when you come across an octopus that isn't quite so average? Just over 2 decades ago, naturalists were excited to discover an entirely new type of octopod. One that challenged some key things scientists had grown to expect in the species. The newcomer is known scientifically as Octopus paxibolus, or more commonly as the Pacific Northwest tree octopus. Yep, that's right. An octopus that lives in trees, first discovered by respected naturalist Lyle Zapata in 1998. The tree octopus has evolved to make its home deep in the rainforest of Washington State's Olympic Peninsula. It moves using its powerful suckers to anchor to a tree of choice. You won't find the tree octopus swinging around during the day, though. The night is when it likes to venture out to hunt, feeding on rodents, frogs, and other small mammals. In exceptionally hot or dry weather, the tree octopus will make frequent trips to nearby bodies of water to cool and replenish its naturally moist hide. During the height of the rainy season, though, it can easily live on land for weeks at a time. The tree octopus is a timid and solitary creature, living alone and camouflaging itself into its surroundings. It's also got a remarkably advanced brain capacity which is opening up new avenues for science. What interesting information might this aquatic tree dweller be able to share if only it could be understood? While the tree octopus spends most of its life outside of water, it returns to the ocean to lay its eggs. The tiny hatchlings that spend their first weeks underwater, growing in size and strength. Finally, they clamber up onto the banks and head for the safety of the trees, where they will live out the rest of their lives. In the early 2000s, the tree octopus was on the verge of extinction, but a strong grassroots campaign by dedicated Pacific Northwest communities helped reverse that. They set about raising awareness and establishing cephalopod-safe forest zones. The result? The tree octopus has seen a terrific comeback, and is now one of the fastest-growing octopod species on the West Coast. So, if you're out and about on a gray, rainy day, keep your eyes on those treetops. Maybe you'll be the one to spot something unusual lurking in their boughs. Okay, so that's one of them. Okay, so that was your answer choice A. Then we have answer choice B, the extraordinary extracranial life of Mike. Okay? Our story begins in the fall of 1945. Lloyd Olson and his wife ran a small family farm in Puta, Colorado. Among other things, the Olson farm specialized in chickens. It was Lloyd Olson's routine once a week to behead a batch of birds with an axe, then load the carcasses into his wagon for delivery to the meat market for next morning. But the fateful day of September 10th, things didn't go as planned, not for Olson, and certainly not for the plump 2.5-pound chicken who was earmarked for the next day's dinner. Just like every Monday, Olson raised the axe. Just like every Monday, the blade fell. Now, it's not uncommon for a chicken to continue running around for a bit after its head has been chopped off. So when the feisty bird kept gamboling around, the farmer probably wasn't too surprised. He relegated the headless body to an apple crate on the porch and turned in for the night. The next morning, though, Olson was in for a shock. The chicken was still alive. It had no head, but it was very clearly not dead. What happened? It turned out that Olson's axe had missed the bird's jugular vein, so the blood clotted and the flow stopped quickly. The axe had also missed severing the brainstem, and with that organ intact, the chicken, who became known as Mike, was able to maintain much of his behavior. He began pecking at the ground for food with his newly minted stump and made preening motions. His crows had become throaty gurglings, reported the journal Scientific American in the 2014 feature of the fated fowl. In the face of this tenacity, you might be able or might not be surprised at what Olson decided to do next. Armed with an eyedropper, the man set about the task of helping Mike stay alive, painstakingly delivering water, milk, and even tiny corn kernels directly into the bird's esophagus. The result? Mike not only lived but thrived. At the University of Utah, Mike was poked and prodded and finally given a clean bill of health. Against all odds, he lived on. Over the next 18 months, in fact, Mike nearly quadrupled his body weight to a hefty 8 pounds. Mike would go on to be featured in Time and Life magazines, and even made the Guinness World Record book. Can you guess for what? Spurred on by the flocks of incredulous inquiries, Lloyd Olson decided to take his miracle chicken on the road. On the sideshow circuit, the Olsons and Mike traveled from their hometown in Colorado through California, Arizona, New York, and beyond, where people of all ages could pay 25 cents to see Mike the Miracle Chicken. Eventually, of course, Mike did meet his end, but his legacy lives on in the annual Mike the Headless Chicken Festival, held the first weekend in June, and in the 4-foot-high sculpture of Mike that was installed in downtown Fruita in early 2000. More than 70 years later, the curious and thunderstruck alike still remember the noble bird who exchanged a quick trip to the platter for a blazing streak of national fame. All right, so that was your second one. So between the first one, the tree octopus, and the headless chicken, you have to decide which one's real, which one's fake. Maybe they're both real. Maybe the last one's going to be the fake one, or the lie. Okay? This is your answer to C. Oh my goodness, tiny dragons. What's your favorite kind of pet? A roly-poly kitten, maybe? Or an energetic, tail-wagging German shepherd? Or a delicate goldfish in a bowl? Maybe even a slow-moving box turtle? Those are all great pets, but have you ever thought about having your own personal dragon? Curious to know more? Come on, let's go on an adventure. For this trip, you'll need warm clothes, sturdy boots, and a flashlight with a strong beam. We're going to travel to the Eastern European country of Slovenia. Deep in the mountains, in the aquatic caves of, I don't know how to say these words, I'm sorry, lives a species of cave-dwelling salamander that looks just like a baby dragon. It's known as Proteus anguinus, or more informally, the olm. Now, let's be honest, you're not going to take an olm home with you. They are aquatic cave dwellers after all. But why don't you stick around for a while anyway? Our tour is just getting started. Want to get a close and personal with a real-life pocket dragon? Here we go. Olms can grow to be 8 to 12 inches long, about the length of your forearm, with slithery snake-like bodies and slender limbs. They have 3 toes on each of their forelegs and just 2 toes on their hind legs. Basically, they look like a tiny baby dragon. They have 3 pink fan-like gills on either side of their head, and their pale, fleshy skin is so thin that you can see through to the shapes of their internal organs. They are born with underdeveloped eyes. Within months of birth, become almost completely blind. Many olms' eyes are grown over with a thin layer of skin, though they can still register changes in light around them. As if to make up for this, olms' other senses are supercharged: smell, taste, and especially hearing. They can detect the smallest sound waves and micro disturbances in the water around them. Olms also have a weird sixth sense, electrosensitivity. A special organ in their heads helps them detect electrical waves of passing creatures. Is that a tiny worm? A tiny sea worm? Gulp. All gone. Mealtime for the Olm consists of insects and small aquatic creatures such as crabs and water snails. Food can be scarce in the dark bellies of the caves, that serve as their homes. So, when they find food, they gobble up as much as they can. They can then store their nutrients in their bodies for another hungry day. How long? For up to 10 years. Since an Olm might live as long as 100 years, that's not very many meal times. Historical records of the Olm date back in 1768. They were further immortalized by Charles Darwin On the Origin of Species as an example of an ancient organism shaped by its harsh environment. You can find the Olm primarily in the southeastern European countries of Slovenia, Croatia, and Bosnia. In Slovenia, they are considered a national treasure, and their image was printed on their 10 Staten coins, or one of their 10 Staten coins. Dragon treasure, anyone? In Slovenia, for the equivalent of about $20, you can board a special train that will take you through the cave for an up-close and personal tour. You can't take one of these baby dragons home, but isn't the world a better place just knowing you know the Olm is in it? All right, so those are your 3 answer choices. So again, you have to think about which one do you think is the lie. One of them is the lie, 2 are the truths. Okay, so the first one that we have here for you, is this one. So A was first answer choice, the tree octopods. B, the extraordinary extracranial life of Mike. Or C, only goodness, tiny dragons. So which one do you think is the lie? Okay. All right. If you want to pause and kind of think about that, you can, or you can even kind of scroll back through and kind of look through the video. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the answer is. So I'll show you this in the back here. So chapter 5. Here we go. All right. So here's the answer. The hoax of the Pacific Northwest tree octopus came to us almost fully formed, and as such might be the challenge even for savvy researchers to ferret out. A Google search will turn up a very professional-looking website created by Lyle Zapata and devoted to Pacific Northwest tree octopus, but this website itself is an elaborate hoax, meaning it's not real. Octopods, we are kind of relieved to inform you, do not roost in trees. However, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration recently discovered a brand new octopod species living at 14,000 feet under the ocean. So who knows what might be discovered in the months and years to come. All right, so if you guessed the tree octopod, that was the lie, you are correct. And it is kind of interesting if you were to research that, because you can find that professional looking website, but it is not, it's fake. Okay. All right. So here's what I'm going to have you guys do. I'm going to have you set this aside, get a sheet of paper. When you get back to school, what I want you to make sure that you do is you're going to make sure to get both of these mentor texts, and you're going to tape them into your notebook. It's going to be on your next 2-page spread. So I'm going to show you what yours are going to look like. That way you know which to look for when you are coming back to school. So the infographic one looks like this. It is on purple. It is a front and back. That's exactly what I showed you about those. And then this one is the one that has the 2 truths and a lie. But then it also has the question and answer as well. It's on this like yellow orangish paper. Okay, so when you get back to school, you need to make sure that you get these from me and you tape them to your next 2-page spread in the back of your notebook. Okay? All right, and then what I have you do is on a separate sheet of paper, we're going to do a skiff really quickly. We're going to do skiff for the 50 iconic brand logos. So I'm just going to show you what we ended up doing in our last class. So on a separate sheet of paper, I want you to write this, and then you're going to take a picture of it and send it to me in an email. That way I know that you did it, and then you can add that to your notebook when you get back. Okay, so we did the 50 iconic brand logos. So go ahead and write this if you're not doing it yet. And then S, because we're in a skiff, S is source. This is from youprinting.com. The central idea is split up into 2 sections. We have purpose and topic. Purpose, this whole thing is just to inform us. This is to inform us. And then it's about the hidden meaning in logos. So you can even say, like, who is the logos? And then the what is the hidden meaning behind those logos. Okay? And then the where and when, this is everywhere today. Like, you see these all over the place right now. So you can just put that. The format is that it's an infographic. So you can write infographic, and then the features that we see, that has title, headings, and illustrations. So it has those things to be in there. Okay, so make sure you write this down on a separate sheet of paper. You're going to take a picture of it, and you're going to send it to me in an email. That way I know that you did it, and you can get credit for what we did today in class. And then when you get back to class, you're going to take this piece of paper that you wrote this on. You're going to come and find me, and you're going to get both of these mentor texts, the purple one and the orangish colored one, and you're going to tape them on the next 2-page spread in your notebook. Outside of that, that's all I have for you today. All right, perfect. See you later.